Nestled along the picturesque coastline of Lancashire, England, stands Blackpool. This town has a unique charm, drawing visitors with its golden sandy beaches and iconic landmarks. The imposing Blackpool Tower stands tall above all other buildings, offering panoramic views of the bustling town and the vast expanse of the Irish Sea. Surrounding Blackpool Tower are three historic piers: North Pier, Central Pier, and South Pier. Each is teeming with amusements, ranging from traditional arcade games to roller coasters and live shows. Over the past couple of decades, however, Blackpool has seen a decline in its once bustling tourism industry. The decline is attributed to various factors, including shifting holiday preferences, as more people opt for foreign travel. The rise of budget airlines offering cheap packages has further contributed to this downturn. As a result, many businesses relying on tourism, such as hotels, restaurants, and entertainment venues, struggle to stay afloat. Unemployment rates in this seaside town are higher than the national average, with limited job opportunities outside the tourism sector. According to statistics, Blackpool has faced various social issues, including high levels of deprivation and health inequalities. On the night of January 31st, 2013, Blackpool was quiet. The festive period had just ended, and all the Christmas lights and decorations had been put away for the next year. However, the tranquility of the night was shattered around 9:15 p.m. when plumes of smoke billowed into the sky from the rear of the Grafton House Hotel. The acrid scent of burning filled the air, eventually setting off the shrill wail of the hotel's smoke alarm, which reverberated through the streets. Carl Evans, the owner of the nearby Kimber House Hotel, initially dismissed the alarm as a routine occurrence, common in establishments with kitchens. However, his calm demeanor quickly changed when frantic cries pierced through the blaring alarm. Carl ran outside and saw flames flickering in the alleyway behind the Grafton House Hotel. A local dog walker had stumbled upon the fire and raised the alarm, calling out for help. Her cries ignited a flurry of activity as bystanders rushed toward the flames. Carl, along with two others, armed themselves with buckets of water and confronted the fire. Amidst the chaos, a grim realization dawned on Carl. As the flames receded, he initially thought a mannequin was being consumed by the fire, but soon realized it was the body of a young woman. Most of her clothing had been burned away, revealing pale skin. There was a large pool of blood surrounding her. Carl later described the scene. The girl was curled up in the fetal position, and she appeared very small, as though she had no legs. Sasha Marsden was born on May 7, 1996, to parents Gary and Jane. When Sasha was 8 years old, in 2004, the Marsden family moved from Bolton to the village of Staining, close to the seaside resort of Blackpool. The youngest of 5 children, Sasha exhibited confidence from a young age. Her brother Thomas described her as an adorable little sister who was never afraid to voice her opinions. According to her mother, Sasha was the cheeky member of the family, a spirited soul who held her own among her older siblings. As she grew into her teenage years, Sasha's desire for independence blossomed, a common thread among adolescents on the cusp of adulthood. Like many teenagers, she sought more time with friends and sometimes felt embarrassed being seen with her parents. However, Gary and Jane understood this phase of Sasha's development. They supported her desires for freedom, cheering her on as she went out with friends, whether for trips to the cinema or shopping excursions. Beneath her independent facade, Sasha had a heart of gold. She was known for her unwavering loyalty to friends and family. By the age of 14, Sasha had developed a preference for the vibrant atmosphere of Blackpool over the quiet confines of Staining. After school, she and her friends often frequented the town, enjoying amusements and idling away time on the pier. One fateful day in July 2010, Jane received a distressing call from the police. Sasha and a friend had encountered a 22-year-old man in a local park who offered them vodka. Sasha, who had never consumed alcohol, quickly passed out. The man took advantage of her vulnerability and sexually assaulted Sasha. Thankfully, two bystanders intervened and called the police. The man was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to 5 years and 4 months in prison. The incident left an enduring impact on Sasha. Struggling to reconcile with the trauma, she became deeply withdrawn and targeted by peers at school. To cope, Sasha began skipping classes, drinking heavily, and engaging in self-harm. She also started running away from home. In 2012, she vanished, sparking a nationwide search. A week later, she was found 300 miles away in Suffolk, having left with a boy 2 years her senior. By the following year, Sasha's life began to stabilize. She enrolled in a childcare program at college, where she was recognized for her kindness and diligence. She eagerly anticipated progressing to the next level of her studies. Sasha also sought financial independence, taking a part-time cleaning job at a hotel in Blackpool. Then, in January 2013, a friend of a friend informed Sasha that she could apply for a part-time cleaning job at a hotel in Blackpool. The opportunity seemed perfect, as the part-time hours aligned with her college schedule. On January 28th, Sasha's father, Gary, dropped her off in the heart of Blackpool. She wasn't sure of the hotel's exact location, so she arranged to meet the manager on the high street for guidance. About half an hour later, Sasha called her father, requesting that he pick her up from where he had dropped her off. Bursting with excitement, she informed him that her trial run at the hotel had been successful. She had efficiently made up a couple of beds and earned £10 from the manager. Gary and Sasha's mother, Jan, were thrilled for their daughter. Considering the challenges she had faced in recent years, it seemed Sasha had transitioned into an independent young woman poised to pursue her ambitions. Sasha's first official shift at the hotel was scheduled for January 31st. That morning, she attended college as usual. After her classes, Gary picked her up and dropped her off at the same location as before. They agreed he would return to pick her up after her shift, though the exact time was uncertain. Sasha promised to notify her father upon finishing her work. As Gary watched her disappear into Blackpool's main street, he drove home, trusting in Sasha's newfound independence. Hours passed, and Gary anxiously awaited her text to signal she was ready to be picked up. As dinner approached, he reached out to ask when her shift would end, but received no reply. Initially, the family assumed Sasha was engrossed in her duties. They expected her home by 8:30 p.m., as she had plans to attend a party with her boyfriend that night. When the clock ticked past 8:30 with no word from Sasha, Gary and Jan grew increasingly uneasy. They contemplated driving into Blackpool to look for her, but weren't sure which hotel she was working at. They contacted Sasha's boyfriend, Danny, who mentioned the hotel manager was a man named David. Searching through Sasha's Facebook friends, they found a man named David Minto, whose job at the Grafton House Hotel seemed plausible. Gary and Jan headed to the Grafton House Hotel, located near Blackpool's Promenade. Upon arrival, David Minto confirmed Sasha had been working there but claimed she had left hours earlier, saying she was heading to meet her father in town. Concerned about the possibility of an accident, Gary and Jan contacted local hospitals, but Sasha wasn't there. With no options left, they called the police to report their youngest daughter missing. Later that evening, police discovered a charred body in an alleyway near the Grafton House Hotel. The burns were so extensive that visual identification was impossible. Investigators meticulously documented the scene and transported the body to the medical examiner's office for further examination. Pathologist Dr. Allison Armour determined that the young woman had suffered multiple stab wounds to her head and neck, totaling at least 58. Defensive wounds indicated a desperate fight for her life. Evidence also suggested she had been sexually assaulted. The brutality of the attack was evident, with some knife wounds penetrating her skull. Meanwhile, Sasha's parents, Gary and Jan, were informed about the body's discovery. Detectives visited them shortly after 11 p.m. that night. While initially expecting routine questions about a missing person, Gary and Jan were instead told about the body found near the hotel. The detectives asked about Sasha's clothing that day, noting similarities to the charred items found on the body. Sasha's parents provided her toothbrush for DNA testing. The results confirmed the worst. The burnt body was that of 16-year-old Sasha Marsden. In a heartfelt tribute, Gary and Jan expressed their profound grief, stating, "No words can express how we feel. Our beautiful daughter has been taken from us. She was a loving daughter, sister, granddaughter, great-granddaughter, niece, cousin, and girlfriend. She was very much loved, and her loss has left a huge gap that can never be filled." A murder investigation quickly began. Sasha's parents informed detectives that she had started her first cleaning shift at the hotel that afternoon. Suspicion fell on David Minto, the man who claimed to be her manager. Detectives soon discovered that Minto was not the manager, but the handyman who lived at the hotel, which was owned by his girlfriend, Rachel Butterworth, and her mother. Rachel's mother described Minto as lazy and obsessed with video games. She said he often secluded himself in the basement bedroom, leaving others to handle any hard work. On January 31st, the day Sasha visited, Minto was the only person at the hotel. When Rachel returned around 9 p.m., she noticed Minto acting strangely. He was not in his usual spot playing video games, but was instead in the bar area. He claimed he had a nosebleed, which left stains on the carpet and his white hoodie, and said he had cleaned it with bleach. Rachel also observed freshly cleaned, wet tables in the bar area, further raising her suspicions. Aside from Rachel's duties at the hotel, she held a part-time job on Mondays and Thursdays. Coincidentally, the days Sasha was invited to the hotel by Minto. When detectives informed Rachel that Sasha had been hired as a cleaner by Minto, she expressed surprise. The hotel was undergoing renovations, had been closed for the winter, and was devoid of any guests. With mounting circumstantial evidence implicating Minto, he was arrested and charged with Sasha's murder. He was held in custody to appear before the Blackpool Magistrates' Court on Monday morning. Detectives continued their investigation and uncovered that Minto first met Sasha in Blackpool towards the end of 2012 at Coral Island Amusement. Sasha crossed paths with Kimberly Fazakerly, who was meeting David Minto. Kimberly introduced Sasha to Minto, and the trio spent some time together before meeting Minto's girlfriend, Rachel. On January 27th, Minto added Sasha on Facebook using the moniker David Demon Minto. He told her that a cleaning job had just become available at the hotel where he worked. Following the discovery of Sasha's body, Minto was one of the locals who ventured into the alleyway. He told his girlfriend, Rachel, that there was a burning mannequin behind the hotel. However, upon closer inspection, they realized it was a human body. Minto then said to Rachel that his DNA might be on the body because he had prodded it, initially mistaking it for a mannequin. Forensic experts meticulously searched the Grafton House Hotel and its surroundings. Sasha's blood was discovered on Minto's clothing, scattered throughout the hotel, and on a kitchen knife in the bathroom. Attempts to flush Sasha's jewelry and earrings down the toilet were evident, and her DNA was discovered in the bathtub. In the alleyway where Sasha's body was found, her blood-stained top, pink and white boots, pink purse, and mobile phone were recovered from a waste bin. Despite the mounting evidence against him, Minto maintained his innocence. He told detectives that he knew Sasha and that she had visited the hotel on January 31st for a cleaning job. Minto claimed he showed her the ropes before excusing himself to the bathroom. He alleged that upon his return, Sasha initiated a consensual encounter. Later, he claimed to have disposed of the items used, saying he had heard Sasha yelling from inside the room. Minto stated he returned to find her suffering from a severe nosebleed and claimed he provided gloves to help her. He alleged that Sasha mentioned being picked up by her father at Windsor. Minto said he accompanied Sasha to the shop, but claimed her father wasn't there. He stated that he offered to wait with her, but Sasha allegedly insisted she was fine and encouraged Minto to return to the hotel, which he did. The last time he reportedly saw her was when her body was found behind the hotel, on fire. Minto's arrest didn't shock everyone who knew him, including Kimberly, who had introduced Sasha to Minto. Kimberly and Minto had been acquainted since college in 2006, maintaining communication through text messages, calls, and Facebook. Despite knowing she had a boyfriend, Minto persistently urged Kimberly to visit him at the hotel, often suggesting times when his girlfriend, Rachel, was at work. On January 27, 2014, just 4 days before Sasha's murder, Kimberly visited Minto at the hotel. Initially, the visit appeared ordinary as Minto gave her a tour of the hotel, showcasing various areas, including the bedrooms and the room he shared with Rachel. However, things took a disturbing turn when Minto behaved inappropriately toward Kimberly, attempting to touch her despite her demands for him to stop. She managed to break free and chose not to disclose the incident to anyone, leaving Sasha unaware when she later visited the hotel. Following Kimberly's departure that afternoon, Minto reached out to Sasha via Facebook, offering her the job at the hotel. On February 27th, hundreds of people packed into St. Chad's Church in Polton to say a final goodbye to Sasha. Most of the attendees wore pink or purple, her favorite colors. Sasha's coffin was carried into the church as "Don't You Worry Child" by Swedish House Mafia played. In a poignant letter read aloud by Reverend Martin Key, Sasha's best friend Angel said, "Sasha Marsden was more than a friend to me. She was a sister and protector. She was always there for me and never gave up." Poems were also read aloud by Sasha's aunts, with one aunt referring to her as the brightest star. The grief was palpable as she said, "Some things can't be mended. A link in the chain of a large, loving family is forever broken." After the funeral, David Minto pleaded not guilty to Sasha's murder and was ordered to stand trial. The trial began on July 15, 2013. Prosecutor Peter Wright laid out the case, stating that Minto had lured Sasha to the Grafton House Hotel under the pretense of a cleaning job. He highlighted that Minto was not authorized to hire anyone and had kept his meeting with Sasha a secret from his girlfriend. The prosecution believed Sasha had rebuffed Minto's advances, much like Kimberly had days earlier. They argued that Minto attacked Sasha as she attempted to leave, inflicting numerous injuries consistent with defensive wounds. The prosecutor stated Sasha struggled ferociously to save her life. After the attack, the prosecution claimed that Minto attempted to cover up the crime by wrapping Sasha's body in materials and setting it on fire behind the hotel. Testimonies during the trial painted a harrowing picture. Witnesses described the fire behind the hotel, and forensic evidence confirmed Sasha's blood and DNA on Minto's clothing and throughout the hotel. After Sasha's body was discovered, Minto quickly began trying to cover his tracks. He told his girlfriend that his DNA would be found on the body because he had poked it, thinking it was a mannequin. The prosecutor told the jury that Sasha's blood was discovered on Minto's clothing, throughout the hotel, and on a kitchen knife. In the alleyway where she was found, her blood-stained Adidas top, pink and white boots, pink purse, and mobile phone were discovered in a waste bin. Testimony got underway promptly, with various witnesses testifying about the fire behind the hotel. Johan Rondahl, who had been visiting his girlfriend at the nearby Brooklyn Hotel, saw the fire. He was among the onlookers who put out the flames with buckets of water. Around the same time, he observed Minto standing at the back door of the Grafton House Hotel on his mobile phone. He seemed unnaturally calm, and Johan was taken aback when he told Minto that a mannequin had been found on fire. Minto responded, "Since when does a mannequin bleed?" After it was discovered that it wasn't a mannequin but Sasha's body, Minto invited the group into the hotel. Johan testified that Minto appeared calm and acted like nothing had happened, even though they had all just witnessed something horrifying. Kimberly Fazakerly also testified, telling the jury about her disturbing interaction with Minto days before Sasha was killed. Minto's girlfriend, Rachel, told the jury about coming back to the hotel and finding him cleaning up. The jury then heard about the forensic evidence found at the hotel, including Sasha's DNA and her jewelry, which had been partially flushed down a drain. David Minto was called to testify on his own behalf. On the witness stand, he made a stunning admission. While he had already claimed to detectives that he had consensual relations with Sasha, he now stated he had found her body in the hotel hallway. His version of events changed again, claiming that after allegedly walking Sasha to meet her father, he returned to the hotel to find the back door open. Minto testified that he started cleaning up blood from Sasha's earlier nosebleed when he saw a body in the hallway. He claimed she was covered in blood, she was cut on the neck and arms, and her hair looked red. He stated he checked Sasha for a pulse, but found none. He told the jury that his first instinct was to clean up the blood, explaining, "I have a thing about blood. I don't like it. Not a phobia, but a queasiness." He admitted to wrapping Sasha's body in a piece of carpet and a duvet before moving her to the alleyway in a wheelie bin. However, he denied setting her body on fire. Minto claimed he was smoking at the back door when he saw smoke emanating from the alleyway. He said someone told him that some youths had set fire to a mannequin, but when he investigated, he realized it was Sasha's body. Minto's defense attorney, Sherdani, asked whether he had harmed Sasha or had any contact with her other than what he claimed was consensual. He denied harming her, stating he didn't know how she ended up dead in the hallway. He was too afraid to call the police because they would immediately assume he was responsible. The prosecutor confronted Minto about his persistent Facebook messages to Kimberly, calling them inappropriate. Minto explained that Kimberly was a friend who I chilled out and hung around with, and I had to fit that around Rachel. I don't have many friends. After Kimberly left the hotel following her alleged assault, Minto reached out to Sasha on Facebook. The prosecutor said to Minto, "I suggest you trolled available Facebook entries in order to find a suitable victim for your sexual attention. You thought you'd be able to have your way with each of them when Rachel, your girlfriend, was out and the premises were empty." He referred to Minto as an opportunist and a sexual predator. Following Minto's testimony, the trial drew to a close. Closing arguments were presented, with the prosecutor reiterating all the evidence against Minto. He touched on Minto's shifting version of events and reminded the jury that Sasha's DNA was found in the hotel and on the kitchen knife. In contrast, defense attorney Gert Danny addressed the jury, saying, "Is it possible that, having left the Grafton House Hotel, Sasha Marsden returned and was attacked by one or more assailants, at whose hands she met her death and suffered indignities?" He suggested that Kimberly's testimony was unreliable and argued that, despite her claims, she had continued to message Minto on Facebook after the incident. The defense attorney stated, "The defendant is charged with murder. The prosecution's case is that, faced with the rebuttal of his sexual advances, he turned to violence out of fear. But consider this. If Kimberly's testimony is true, when Minto's actual advances to her were rebuffed, he simply let her leave the hotel and return home. How then does this show evidence of a man who committed, or is capable of committing, murder?" The defense attorney further stated that just a day after Sasha was killed, details of her murder appeared on Facebook. Someone had posted that she had been stabbed, assaulted, and murdered. At the time, both Minto and his girlfriend Rachel were in police headquarters being interviewed. The defense suggested that nobody else could have known the details of Sasha's murder unless they were involved. Addressing the jury, the attorney said, "There is an uncomfortable knowledge that somebody was sufficiently certain enough to make a posting on Facebook. It is the prosecution's case that nobody could have posted such details except the defendant, who was already in custody." The jury deliberated for just 3 hours before returning with a verdict. They found David Minto guilty of the murder of Sasha Marsden. During the sentencing phase, Judge Anthony Russell addressed Minto, saying, "At your hotel, you murdered her in the most brutal fashion. It was a ferocious and sustained attack. Throughout the investigation, you not only lied, but sought to cover your tracks and tailor your account. You have shown a degree of low cunning, but it was easily seen through." The judge further criticized Minto's lack of remorse, saying, "There is not a shred of common humanity in you." He referred to Minto as a very dangerous and evil man before sentencing him to life in prison, with a minimum sentence of 35 years.